Joey. I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Zee Garcia.
And I'm Joey Evans.
And today we're taking a look at a game called Deep Regrets. Deep Regrets is a game that is clearly based on the video game Dredge. It definitely, when this game Kickstarter came out, in my opinion, it is my favorite Kickstarter trailer I've ever seen for a board game.
Yeah, I
agree with that.
I really, really like the trailer. And the trailer not only was funny and silly and put the theme there, but also showed you a lot of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, because of this board game, I went and got Dredge, played it online, and I told you about it. You played it too, I think.
That's right, yeah.
I'll start out by saying why this game is very similar to Dredge in many ways. There's going to be a lot of things that aren't in this. Dredge actually is a polyomino game in many ways.
Right.
There's not a single polyomino in this box.
Sure. I think thematically they share a lot of sort of feelings and DNA, but they're not related. Yeah.
All right. Well, Zee's going to show us how it plays, and then we'll come back.
All right. Here we're taking a look at the game setup for 3 players. Our start player over here is going to have the anchor, and we've already set up everything else, so I'll go ahead and take you through it. The game's going to be played over 6 days, tracked to the top of this port board with this token right here. And so we would begin on Monday. I won't block that now, but we begin on Monday there, and we're going to be moving down at the end of Saturday then. Whoever has the most points is going to be the winner, and that is the worth of the things you've caught, any leftover bucks you've got on this tracker for your money, and then any fish that you mounted on the wall will have a multiplier assigned to their worth, and you'll get points from that. And again, the highest score is the winner. But throughout the game, you're going to be getting regrets, these cards right here. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most regrets loses one of their mounted prizes. So you got to be aware of that. So you're ideally not the one who loses those victory points. So each day is going to have 4 parts: start, refresh, declare, and action. And I'll go ahead and take you through those now. So at the start, we're skipping that during the first round, but it would basically be moving this to the next player, discarding any face-up fish over here, and getting ready for this upcoming rounds, basically. If you are out fishing and you're at a depth deeper than depth 1, you would also automatically move 1 up towards the top. And then also some of the days will have special abilities like payday on Thursday, and on Saturday you get an extra die. So that is the start, which again we skip right now. Then comes the refresh phase. During the refresh phase, everybody's going to take all their spent dice and as many of their fresh dice as they want to. They're going to roll that, and they'll put them over here in the fresh dice up to the capacity. What is the capacity? It's based on your madness, and the madness itself is based on how many of these regrets cards you have. We begin with none, so our dice max value, or max of number of dice you can have, is 4. We're fine right now. We have our 3 starting dice, so everybody would do this and place them here like so. Now, whoever has the highest total, in this case it's me with 7, I have to take the life preserver here and give it to somebody else. And they're going to get a discount of 2 to something they'll do on their upcoming actions phase. So I pick whoever I want, I give it to them. All right? And that is the refreshing phase. And then we go to the declare phase, where starting from the first player, you declare if you're going fishing or you're going to port. We also skip that phase during the first round. You have to go fishing, but later on you can decide. If you go fishing, by the way, and you happen to have any rods or any reels, you may place 1 rod and 1 reel in play so you have access to their abilities. And then we are off and running with the action. So starting from the first player and going around and around, you're going to take 1 action on your turn until you pass. When you pass, you get a little bonus, which entails getting rid of one of your regrets randomly, or drawing one of these little dink cards, which are small little bonuses. And if you pass and do one of those things, everybody else goes, and it comes back to you, you'll get that bonus again, and you'll continue getting that bonus at the beginning of your turn until everyone has passed. Now, when everyone but one player has passed, let's say this player has passed and this player has passed, when you get down to a single player, they can only take 2 more actions or pass early. So they cannot indefinitely keep going and you indefinitely getting these, dink or getting rid of regret cards. So that's how that's going to play out. And whether you're at port or fishing, on your turn, you take an action. I'm going to explain fishing first, and then I'll explain what happens if you choose to go to port instead. So the way it works is, this player is the start player. You are going to pick a shoal and go fishing in it. Before you do that, you're allowed to discard any die over to spent and go into deeper waters. And so that player might do that. The value on the die does not matter. It's just any one die lets you go one deeper. And I could have done it again down here. Down here, the rewards will be greater, but of course, it's also a greater risk as well. And you have a player aid that explains kind of the difficulty of fishing and how many fair fish versus foul fish you're going to find down there in the water. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I would pick one of these. Now, there's a shadow on the backs of these cards that gives you a hint as to how big the thing is and how difficult to catch with your tackle here it might be, okay? So let's say, for example, I go down here and I choose to fish this one. I'm randomly picking one. It has the large shadow. I know it's a depth 2, and so depth 2, the large shadow is between 3 and 5. Is what the difficulty of fishing that thing should be. There's also a 1-to-1 fair to foul ratio here. So we're going to give it a go. I take it, I flip it. It is a giant octopus. I check if it says anything about it being revealed, an ability that triggers when it is face up. It's going to have a few pieces of information on it. Up here is the cost, the value. Here is how difficult it is to fish. Down across the bottom, it might have some symbols and abilities. In this case, this one says, must be caught with exactly 2 dice. That's a requirement. And then it has an ability here that I would get if I eat this thing. I would have 3 pips up on dice, and I would get rid of one of my regrets. So this card, I could now choose to catch it, and again, 2 dice at least, and a value of 4, so it would be both of these. There's no change. If I spend that, I lose it all. Or I could not catch it. If I choose not to catch something, or I cannot catch it, then instead I have to spend any 1 die, and I grab one of these dink cards, which again are tiny little bonuses, okay? You cannot fish if you are out of dice, so you always have to be able to pay the 1 die to get the dink if it comes to that. But I can do this, so I'm going to go ahead and spend both of those, grab the giant octopus, and put that in my hand. So I will be holding that card in my hand. And we go to the next player, who is going to do something similar. They'll stay up at the surface. They're going to perhaps go for this one, okay? So they take it, they reveal it. It is a tiger shark, and again, it has a few different pieces of information, including one that happens when you catch it. It says you catch this, you have to discard 1 small fish. If I don't have any, that's okay, then I don't, okay? And so this would take 3. I could spend a 1 and a 2 to catch that. Or, because they have the lifesaver, it's -2 to catch something once. I'm going to spend that and only spend the 1 die and still catch the tiger shark. Now, moving down here, I'll show you one final thing, and that is the can of worms. You are allowed 2. This person's going to spend 1 to go down a little bit deeper, and then they'll spend the can of worms here, which says you can peek at 1 fish, put it back on top or bottom of the shoal, and then flip this over, and now it is spent. When you go back to port, you'll refresh this, okay? So they're going to go ahead and do that, and they'll take a peek at this one right here. We'll take a look. They'll peek at that secretly. And they are going to, it's a great white shark, but nobody knows that. And then you could put it back on top, or you could bury it at the bottom. Let's say they're going to choose to bury it down here at the bottom, like so. And then, choose to fish somewhere. So they'll go for this one, let's say. Grab that, they'll flip it over, and here we have a foul fish. So you'll see the mollusk here tells you across the top the size it is. It's middling, which again you can tell from the shadow on the back. And it is foul. That's to catch it, that's to sell it, and the worth at the end of the game. If you do sell this later on at the port, you're going to take a regret because it's the disgusting thing you're selling and you should feel bad about yourself. It also happens to have, because I revealed it, this ability says reveal all fish in this column. So I am going to, upon revealing that right here, I would also reveal this, and I would reveal this one down here. Just like that. And then I could choose to catch it as this player. So it's a value of 3. They will go ahead and do that. Spend the 3, taking that, putting that in your hand. This continues. Now I'll come back up here. I would pass, let's say, and when I pass, then I take one of these or get rid of one of those, of which I don't have any. And so you'll see that these have small little bonuses. So, reduce a fish difficulty by 1 by discarding this card, things like that. That's the idea. So I would keep that. The players would continue taking actions. This player would go fish something else. This player would probably pass and then take one of these themselves. And now that both of these have passed, this person can only take up to 2 more actions. Once the day is over, then we are going to move on to the next day. We would go to Tuesday. We would do the start of the turn in which this passes. Any face-up things that weren't caught would go away now. And then, you put the discard over here next to the matching depth. And we get ready for the next round. We roll again, all of that stuff. So some people are going to choose possibly to go to port. Let me talk about what happens at port. There's a few different actions you can take. You can visit a shop, you can sell fish, or you can mount fish. So selling fish lets you grab the things you've caught and sell them for the value up here modified by your madness. So for example, the giant octopus here is fair, large and fair. It's 6. If I have 0 madness cards, regret cards, then I am going to get +2 on that. So I could sell this card and get $8 right there. And I can sell as much as I want to all at once, but you do max out at 10 fish bucks there. The second option is you can visit a shop. You can go to the rod shop, the reels, supply, or dice. You spend $1, $3, or $5 respectively, and then you get some amount of that thing. So if you spend 1 at these 3, you draw the top card from here and keep it, and that's it. If you spend 3, you draw 3 cards and keep one of them. And this one you draw 3 and keep 2, actually. Or if you spend 5 and you draw a bunch, you draw 5 and keep some of those, all right? If you buy dice, you're going to grab them from here. They are going to randomly come out. Let's say I buy 2 dice for $3. I get 2 of those, okay? Then I roll them, and I place them right there, assuming I have space for that, okay? If you do not have space, then just put them over here. Now, these dice, when you spend them to fish or to drop down in depth, they will go away, and they go back in the bag, okay? You keep your own dice, though. So that's what's happening over there. The other thing you can do is you can mount fish. If you mount a fish, you take one of these, and you're going to place it in one of these locations, right? And then at the end of the game, like I said, you get the multiplier, the value multiplied by 2 or by 3, but the value will be worth, will be modified, I should say, based on where you are here on this track. So speaking of that, let's say instead this player went to the port and they sold this thing for $4 here, modified by the foul value, which is -2. So only 2 things. It's horrible. It's disgusting. They should never have brought it up from the depths. And so now that they sold that, they're going to get a regret. And so this one has a value of 2. They go anywhere from 0 to 3. You keep that card, and it's going to tell you a little something at the bottom that you are regretting. In this case, you drank too deep from the well of sadness. And it has a 2 regret on it. At the end of the game, you want to have as few of these as possible. You have to make sure you adjust this in real time based on how many of those cards you have. All right? So that's the idea. You'll be bouncing ideally back and forth between fishing, maybe going to port to get some supplies, restocking, that sort of thing. Getting some regrets, definitely from the ones down here. They'll give you a lot of regrets just for finding them sometimes. And then again, if you sell them, you'll get regrets as well. And trying to keep that value low. So that's the general idea. There's also a few other small things, like you have the lifeboat. You're allowed to come back from fishing to port in the middle of a round, in the middle of a day, but it's going to cost you deeply with this 10 worth monstrous regret. You don't want to do that to too flippantly. And so that's what's going on in the game. I have a few other things I could explain, but I'm not going to. Let's go ahead and go back up top.
One thing that surprised me when I got this was the size of this box. I don't know. I was expecting a big giant box with tons of components. I'm saying this in a positive way.
Right.
I like the size and the amount. They got all that content in there. And I also want to say kudos to the artist. I think the art's great.
Fantastic.
Well, the artist and the designer are the same
I
person.
keep forgetting that. You're
Really?
right. Well, then kudos to the designer for the art.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and this guy is like a virtuoso because I was reading a little bit about him, and he's like a guy who's like, he's done music for video games. He's done, like, the
Wow.
dude is like good at a lot of things. You know what I mean? He seems to have done quite a few different pursuits in life.
Wow.
With art like this, I don't know what his music sounds like, but if he does music too, that's pretty impressive, man. So yeah, just
It's a Renaissance man.
a little bit of a Renaissance man, yeah. And yes, the artwork here I think is immediately for me just captivating.
Yeah, it
I
is.
Yep.
love the look. The whole thing is silly, spooky. It winks at you a lot.
Yeah.
I love that in a game like this.
The game is simple. You're just going out fishing and seeing what you get. This has actually been done before. There's actually an older game called Key Largo that did this back in the day. Very similar thing. They had the different levels. Unfortunately, a lot of parts of this game, for me, fall apart. Part of it is the pacing of the game. So the way the game works is you go out to sea or you go to town. And they're very different the way they are, and yet people are kind of doing them simultaneously. But you got to go to town to get the stuff. I don't understand why they just don't have two phases where there's go out to sea and go to town, and instead they're like this turn go to town. So you get to weird situations like on the second last turn. If you can't go to town on the last turn.
Unless you use that.
Well, you
line.
can because you can get some of that.
You
the victory
shouldn't,
points.
maybe. Yeah, you shouldn't, maybe. I agree with you that it seems like a binary choice that I'm not sure needs to be a choice because you and I are not competing in town for
Right.
anything. We're kind of competing in the ocean, but also really not that much.
No, we're more like who draws the card first. It doesn't really matter.
In Key Largo and in any other game where you can kind of go to one place or go to another place. First of all, usually the choice is hidden and simultaneous so that you don't know who's going where. But then also, if you go to town and I go to town, demand went up, so things might be more expensive for us. And it's like, oh no, I was hoping nobody else was coming to the shop. And here you are, ruining my shopping experience. That's not really a thing here, which I do agree feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. I'm not sure I get the impetus behind that.
I agree. It's also one of those things you feel like you waste the round if you go to town. You do a couple things you need to do that just don't affect anyone else, and then that's it. That's happened several times.
It might feel like you have fewer rounds when you're in town also.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
I do like the passing in this game. When you pass, you get a little
That's
bonus.
clever.
And every time you pass again, every time the other players don't pass, basically, you keep getting a little bonus. I do like that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, putting pressure on the other players thing.
The biggest concern I have with this game, straight up, and it affects my final thoughts, is luck. There is double dosage of luck because there are things that you can find out there that are amazing.
Yeah.
And there are things in the shop that are amazing. Like the equipment, and I'll compare this to Dredge. In Dredge, the way the game works is there is equipment. This works in this kind of water, this works in this kind of water, this gives you a bonus, this gives you a different bonus. So I'll sit there and go, ooh, which one will I take? I never have that problem in this game. If I draw 3 pieces of equipment, I'll be like, and this is the one I'm using because this one's clearly better than this one.
Sure.
There is some equipment that's unbelievably cool. And if you get it, great. And if you don't, oh well. And then same thing with the fish. You might turn over a fish and go, ooh, that hurt. Or this is an amazing fish. It's the best one out there. And I'm not saying that makes it necessarily bad, but you need to go in knowing that luck is a huge component of this game.
It's got a good dollop of luck. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there are certain ways to mitigate it, but as far as
Like what?
Well, like when you, for dice, for example, there's certain ones that you can set 3 dice to the highest value once per day. And then also like the rods. But here's my problem, too.
That's because you found an amazing piece of equipment. That's not mitigating luck. That's just finding an amazing piece of equipment.
Well, that's where I get to it because, like, I think it's virtually impossible to win if you don't have the rod that allows you to pick 2 or 3 fish instead of the top one, because then you're at the luck of that top one. It's like
it's amazing.
It's great. I've never had the person who gets the one where you can grab 3 cards and choose the one you want to fish not win the game. So it's because that is a massive thing right there. Because otherwise, I would flip it and almost feel like I wasted my turn. I'm like, okay, all right, and then that's one more round that someone else is going to get closer to passing, and then at that point you have 2 more. You may have a fistful of dice, but then you're also stuck with those because everyone's done.
Right.
Yeah.
I do like the dice mechanism. I think that's fun to roll.
I do
dice.
too.
It's a little Kingsburg sort of. And I like that you can buy different dice. Again, I kind of wish it wasn't clearly better. I mean, you're pulling the dice from a bag. It's more luck.
It's yet another way to do luck. Instead of in the shop, you can buy 1 blue or you can buy 1 orange. Or, you know what I mean? It's but... Yeah, it's almost the philosophy here, I guess, is if you throw in enough aspects of luck, it'll all kind of wash out in luck. And that's the concept behind this, because you're right. It's like every time you peel a layer back, there's another thing there that is luck. And the perfect example is that you go to shop, you can pay, $1, $3, or $5 to get 1, 2, or 3 dice. They come randomly out of a bag. From the bag, you will roll them into a random value. It's like wild. It's like, and then it all evens out, folks. So on the one hand, I can definitely get down on this game about that. I'm like, wow, what a crazy random ride. On the other hand, it's about fishing monsters from the water. Fishing, which is very much a random thing. I mean, it is a grab a card and flip it and see what you found. And if you go into it with that spirit, then I think that's when you can sort of, get away with it and sort of enjoy the game. I will say, I think the game is crazy long with higher player counts.
Yeah.
You get away with random and kooky, and again, the spirit of the game being this, like, I'm going crazy. But not for 2.5 hours with 5 players. My goodness. I'm not playing with more than 3. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. Even at 3, I think it would be so much better at 45 to 60.
What did you all think about the Madness track? What do they call it in here? Yeah, Madness.
Yeah, Madness track.
Madness track. Like, you can go down to the bottom where the weird fish are better for you. You can go to the top, and regular fish are better for you.
Do you want the actual fishing or the Madness track?
Well, there's the Madness. Well, there's 2 parts of it. There's the Madness track, and then there are all those cards you get.
Yeah.
That have funny stories the first time you read them all.
Oh, you mean the regrets?
The regrets.
Yes.
We get the regrets are tied to Madness in many ways.
Yes, that's right.
But you really want to get rid of those regrets.
You do.
And it's so easy to get rid. There's so many different ways to get rid of them, but you can get a whole pile at the end of the game. That I think that track and everything, I was super interested in it, but it feels like it's better to just avoid regrets and madness.
I'm worried that it might be too easy to get rid of regrets. It's very easy to dump them. If you just pass, honestly, early in the last round, you're like, all right, I'm dumping these. Is that worth it? Will you...
If you get rid of those big numbers, you just got to be ahead of one other person.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes it's random, too. Either you could choose a regret or you randomly get rid of one, which is a huge swing.
When you pass, it is random. If you get it as a bonus for passing, it is random.
Big.
Yeah.
I will say I went one game where I just went, I'm going to win all the regrets. I'm going to get them all and get down there and see if I can just go, knowing I'm going to lose that one mount. And I still did not beat the guy with the rod that Killer was able to choose 3.
Well, that one mount is a lot of points.
It is.
It can be a lot of points.
Yeah.
I like the idea of, again, exploring various things, which I still haven't done, but the idea of, like, I'm not even going to worry about mounting fish. I'm going to just fish to my heart's content, not worry about madness, because if I don't mount any fish, I can't lose anything. Ha-ha! Would that work? I don't know, but it's intriguing.
Oh, my daughter tried it in one game. She mounted maybe like 2 things just because she was in town and who cares? And no, it didn't work. In fact, she lost pretty badly.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of... The game is... The best way I can describe it is It really intrigues me. I find this game very intriguing. I keep wanting to play it more. I keep thinking about it. And there's many flaws there that I perceive as flaws. And yet, when I stop worrying about that and just sort of enjoy it for what it is and enjoy the reveal of flipping over a thing and it's like a fish with human legs and I'm like, I like that. I'm fishing that. Then it's fun. I enjoy that activity. I enjoy that experience. But yes, there are glaring issues with length, with the game being kind of fiddly. It's very like procedural. I wish it was a little more streamlined, you know. But I do enjoy my time. Anyway, I'm coming down on this one. I think we're ready to jump into final thoughts here. I'm coming down at a 6 on this one. It's one that I enjoy. I play and I have a smile on my face and I dig and I just don't put a whole lot of stock into winning is important in this game. It just, if you are that concerned about that, I recommend that you, kind of steer clear of this one because I don't think it's very controllable. But it's a fun ride, man. If you are someone who enjoys storytelling games, right. You know, if you're someone who enjoys the experience of the thing more than the mechanisms or whatever, then I think you can have a good time with this one. That Cthulhu-y, weird scientific thing, you know, it's moody, it's funky. The artwork does heavy lifting here. I like that stuff. So, I give it a 6.
Yeah, same for me, actually. All the things I said negative, the luck and all that.
Oh, you're giving it a 6 as well? I figured you'd be lower than that because I figured you liked it less.
I agree with you, though, because it is just fun to turn over a card and see what it is. I don't want to do it all the time, but I would do it occasionally. Just going into it knowing doesn't matter that much. I'm just going to see, I caught a foot. You know?
Yes.
There's like weird stuff in the game, just like the original one. I still, I say the original Dredge, but it's not as terrible as Dredge. This is more of a ha, that's kind of weird type thing. And I like the regret cards, like I married a mermaid. That was a regret I have, or something like that. I'm amused by those.
I think the game is incredibly humorous, even if you just take it as a piece of art that is humor first. Yeah. I think it really succeeds.
I like the fact that you have a human, or you flip it over and they're a fish man.
Yeah.
On the other side. So, anyway, so all that keeps me from giving it a low score, but I can't say that I love it or really would recommend it. It's a 6 for me.
Yeah. Funny enough, I'm actually coming right at a 6 as well.
666!
Which is... I was like, should I change it? Because this is really bad. But which makes sense for this game. But the whole thing is, you enjoy it when you first start flipping those cards and you laugh and you're like, let me see that artwork. I mean, they have like a mollusk with fingers coming out instead. I mean, it's just great. And then you chuckle at the abilities, like this is going to eat all your small fish when you catch it. And it's like, it's clever. But the length is, I can do fine with the randomness and all that, but the length is what gets to me. Because even at an hour and a half, you're like, all right, I get it. You know, you're ready.
I think that's probably my biggest takeaway is that too. There's no good reason to play with 5. I think.
That would be a horror.
If it mattered, if we multiples of us went to town or something to the shops, but it doesn't. So
no, I agree.
Why then play for 2.5 hours? Yeah.
So anyway, that's my 6 from me.
There you go, folks. That's Deep Regrets. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Zee Garcia.
I'm Joey Evans.
Joey Schmevin is the Fishman.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you liked this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.